In this demo, let me bring you through an analysis journey for a person who is keen to buy a HDB resale unit. Saw this article a few months back. Prices for HDB is getting more and more expensive. If I'm keen to buy a HDB resale unit, should I buy now? The HDB portal came across this page that allows me to see the resale transaction based on selection, and the data is coming from data.gov.sg. So I'm acquiring as a buyer, looking for a 5-room in HDB Town, Queenstown, and I want to see for the past 12 months. Give me a listing of all the resale transactions for 5-room Queenstown for the past 12 months. But this seems tedious. If I need to modify my selection, I have to redo this again, and I can't really visualize the results in terms of what is the average resale price. Is the resale price going up, going down? What's the trend? Let's try to use Click to help me to answer this. First, let me log into my Click account. So once I log into the Click account, I'll see the hub, which contains my charts, my apps, those recently created, other assets, etc. And I can customize all this to suit my needs. I remember my colleague creating this analysis before and shared with me. I can't remember where is it. So let me use Insights Advisor chat to ask the question. Looking back at the news article, I'm curious to know how many transactions are there where the resale price is more than 1 million. So let's do a search. So Click will actually go through all the dashboard that is available for me. And it came across this dashboard, HDB Resale Analysis. It tells me that 337 transactions where the resale price is more than 1 million for last year. So if I just look at last year, there are 77 transactions. This year, the natural language analytics in ClickSense is able to remember the context, and it's like chatting with a friend. I don't need to repeat my question every time I ask. And you can see that the number of transactions for this year is 106. It's only July. And this makes the whole situation look worrying. So let's analyze further. So I jump into the actual dashboard that was shared with me. From here, I can make use of these insights and quickly select the things I want to see. For example, I want to look at resale price. I can see the average resale price is 450. The highest is Bukit Timah, Bishan Central area, or the flat model. Click on the flat model. I see the average resale price together with the flat model, with type 2 the most expensive, followed by type 1, etc. I can asking my question. My parent is staying in Queenstown, so I would like to know what is the average price for Queenstown. So I ask the question, ClickSense will actually go through the results and then returns me that the average resale price is 581 for Queenstown. Let's take a look at how Click understands this. So it breaks down the whole sentence into the individual component. Looking at the average price, it went to bring back the average resale price. So in this instance, I no need to spell out exactly what am I looking for is the resale price, but I'm just looking for price. Click will actually match against the resale price. For Queenstown, it actually understands as a filter condition. So it applies through all the column. Each column contains Queenstown and apply it in which is the town. You can see that the value inside the data is in full caps, but when I ask in small caps. Okay, how about month? I want to look at the trend. Is it going up or going down? So the augmented intelligence in ClickSense will return the best visualization to answer my question. From just now, a KPI of the average resale price to a trend line to show me the trend. So looking at the trend, it seems like it's on an upwards trend. It's getting more and more expensive for Queenstown. From here, I can see the insights found. What is the average price? What is the maximum? Is 709,000 in 2020 April. The minimum is 479 in 2017 January. You can also add this visualization into your own dashboard using this Add to Sheet button. I've seen my friends, my colleagues who build their dashboard all by just searching, asking, and adding into the dashboard. So let's analyze further. Let's go into the dashboard. So this dashboard has been created with data coming from data.gov.sg, similarly to the HDB portal website. But instead of searching individual selection, return the results as a table, we can visualize the data as a whole in many, many ways. So let's say I'm keen to look at 5-room executive for Queenstown. So let me select Queenstown. So immediately I can see the results. For Queenstown, for 5-room executive, the average resale price is 861. Average per square feet is 675. Let's take a look at the selection tool. The selection tool will show you what you have selected. We highlighted in green, so 5-room executive Queenstown. Associated data will be in white. So for example, the flat model, so these are all the associated data will be in white. The unassociated data will be in gray. So if you scroll down, you can see the gray color. And if you look at the shades of gray, there are actually two shades of gray. Light gray shows that for Queenstown, actually 2-room, 3-room, and 4-room. The dark gray shows that for Queenstown, there are no 1-room and multi-generation. And if you look at the flat model, you can see that DPSS is not available based on the selection that we have made. So by just selecting what I want, I'm able to see all the possible transactions and also the not available ones. Oh yeah, before I forget, I should also consider Pasir Ris. Because my wife Paris is staying in Pasir Ris, if I don't select Pasir Ris to do my analysis, she'll be angry. So let's add this in. And let's go back to the dashboard. So now I increase my selection to include Pasir Ris. And I can see the average resale price drop to 620. But our budget is only 550. So let me set the alert to notify me when the average resale price drop below 550. Click on the three dot, click on alerts, and create new alert. I can change the name of the alert to time to buy HDB and a measure. So in this case, I want to look at the average resale price. So currently it's 620 based on my selection. And I want to set the condition. The condition is when average resale price is less than the value of 550,000. And I want to evaluate this alert whenever the data is refreshed. I want to share with other users. So in this case, I want to share with my wife. And I will create this alert. And whenever the data is refreshed, whenever there's the resale price for this selection, this is actually met, we actually send an alert to both my wife and me. Alternatively, I can also subscribe. And I can actually set to subscribe this particular visualization and then send it to me on a weekly basis. Let's move on. So looking at the trend below here, you can actually see that the average per square feet in terms of the rolling 6 months, is actually going on the upwards trend. You can also look at comparative. Maybe I should also consider smaller unit in Queenstown against the executive flat in. Next, let's take a look at the comparative. Looking at the high resale price, this makes me wonder, can I compare the same flat type between Queenstown and Pasir Ris? So for flat type, I select 5 room executive. Both scenario is the same. So on the left hand side, this is the first scenario, I want to select Queenstown. And on the right hand side, this is the second scenario, I want to select Pasir Ris. At the bottom here, there's a chart to show the average resale price for the scenario 1 and scenario 2. Scenario 1 is blue in color, scenario 2 is purple in color. And it shows that the average resale price for Pasir Ris is hovering between 500 plus K, whereas in Queenstown is between 700 to 950K. Maybe I should consider smaller unit in Queenstown. Okay, so maybe I look at 4 room instead, 5 room executive. And for Pasir Ris, let's not consider the flat type. I want to actually consider flat model. So I want to actually select some flat model. For example, let's go for DBSS improved maisonette. So in this, you can actually see that this type of comparison can be done easily without the need to duplicate the data set or to rebuild the data model. Just need to actually have two scenarios, put them together, and you can start to compare different state. We can also add other data set like amenities, schools, parks into the dashboard and use geospatial to, for example, compare the distance between a block to the nearest school so that we can make our selection more wholesome. Next, we can go into a what-if scenario. We can put in some parameters, input parameters like interest rate, which is 2.6 coming from HDB benchmark. We can put in two scenarios, 30 years for scenario 1 and 20 years for scenario 2 to calculate the money installment, and can set a money budget of 1,008. From there, I can calculate what is the money installment for 30 years is 1.9K, the money installment for 20 years is 2.6K, and which of the town actually meets my requirement of the 1,008. So looking at this, only Pasir Ris can fulfill my requirement if I go for a 30 years installment. Okay. But if I increase our budget to 2005, okay, so now Pasir Ris is able to fit for 20 years. And how about, let me just remove the town to see how about other towns. So let us clear the town selection. So you can see that I removed the selection on Queenstown and Pasir Ris. I opened up my selection. For 30 years, most of the town actually can fit my requirement of a 2005 money budget. And for 20 years, the outer fringe of Singapore can actually fit the requirement. So let me drop down a note to my wife. So go to the notes here, create a new note. Let's title it. Should we consider other towns? Let's put a note. And put in some narratives. And I can add this chart into the notes. And I can tag my wife. Okay, so when my wife log in to ClickSense, she'll be notified that there's a note for her. Then from there, she can look at the state of my analysis, and then from there, we can collaborate further. Okay, let's take example of, let me just select bursaries logo. Okay, so what's next? So we can also build in action into our analysis to pass our selection criteria to websites like Property Guru or SRX, etc. to show us a list of the current units that's on sale that match our criteria. So in this example, you can actually see that pass the search criteria, bursaries Pongo, fly from an executive into Property Guru to list down all the existing units. So earlier on, our dashboard show all the transacted records, transacted resale property, whereas in Property Guru, these are all the new existing that's actually on sale. After doing all this analysis, I have a question in mind. Where do you think is the most expensive town in Singapore? How about we use our dashboard to find out the answer? There are two ways to look at this question, using per square feet or look at the resale price to find the most expensive town. So if I just look at the average per square feet, I can make use of this map itself to answer my question. So let's remove all the selection, expand the map to full screen. From there, we can select based on the average per square feet, use the legend to select the highest, confirm my selection. And I can see that Queenstown having the average per square feet of 635. But what if I want to look at the average resale price instead? So looking at the dashboard, there's no average resale price by town. So let's modify the dashboard to ask the question. So let me remove the selection here and do a duplicate. Okay, so once I duplicate, you can see that the original sheet is still here. I'm actually duplicating another sheet here to do my analysis. So I'm modifying my own sheet. Okay, let's rename the sheet to be my analysis. And let us remove this chart. I want to create another chart here. So I go into the master item, I look for the average resale price, drag it in. I see a KPI being formed for average resale price of 550,000. I want to break this down by the town. So I go to fields, look for town and drag it in. From here, you can see that the augmented intelligence in ClickSense. I only need to drag in the fields to help me to answer my question. And ClickSense will be able to recommend me the appropriate chart from the average resale price as a KPI to a top map when I drag in the town. So let's expand on this map using the average resale price, and it's the same way I use the legend to select the highest average resale price, and from here two of the top appear. Bishan is having 642, whereas Bukit Timah is 717. So I can click on Bukit Timah and then start to analyze, and I can jump back to the first dashboard and see how does it actually affect my original view. So coming back to our original question, where are all the 1 million HDB unit? Can I list them down? Similarly, I can use my dashboard here. I can modify to add in probably a listing of all the transaction. So I can just drag in all the columns I want to see. I want to see ID, I want to see block, flat model, flat type, block, resale price, square meter. So I can just drag in all the information that I need. And I click on done editing. And I can maximize this. Okay, let us first remove the selection here. So this is a listing of all the records, and I want to do a search on the resale price, which is more than 1 million. This will retrieve all the 111 resale price for the 1 million records, and they actually contributed to 337. If I look at this flat type, I notice that there's a small slice here, which is the 3-room. So let's go down into this. So looking at this 3-room, the average resale price is 115, actually 6 of them. If I look at the listing here, okay, the resale price is actually very high. But in terms of the floor area square meter, it's also pretty high. And they're actually belonging to the raised flat model. Okay, so this may actually seems to skew our analysis, and this seems to be the outlier. So maybe we should actually exclude them from our analysis. So I can actually do a select on the raised and click on this 3 dot here and do a select excluded. So that I can do my analysis without skewing based on this terrace 6 of the records, and now I have only 331 records. So this is a very good example of using the select excluded to confine your analysis to those data that you want. This will conclude my demo. Thank you.